We've lost dozens of bank accounts. So we just became our own bank.
Humans of Bitcoin is part of the Bitcoin.com podcast network. Learn about Bitcoin, create a wallet, and buy your first Satoshis all at Bitcoin.com.
We have the Bitcoin.com Bitcoin Cash Ambassador for Los Angeles. He is founder of the CryptoSpace. The CryptoSpace is a lounge where people can hang out and nerd out on Bitcoin. It's also a registered exchange. You can buy and sell cryptocurrency there instantly. They also have what I like to call a genius bar for learning about cryptocurrencies, workshops, and education, plus free beer and coffee. I was put in touch with Ernesto from Chris, who is the head of our ambassador program at Bitcoin.com. And I simply asked him, hey, who are some cool, everyday, real world people that are promoting cryptocurrencies around the world? And we're starting today in San Pedro, California. Ernesto Huerta, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me. And just super proud that, being able to promote Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin.com, and just cryptos in general. So, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, man. And Ernesto, let's take me back a few years here. Before Bitcoin, what type of stuff were you working on?
Oh, man. Honestly, I worked in nightclubs and restaurants, managed cheesecake factories and high volume places, very intense, very on your feet, running around 16 hours a day type of blue collar work, working hard. Growing up, I was always into science and history. I was a huge history nerd. And like a lot of crypto people, I kind of found Ron Paul, learned about the Federal Reserve and all the shenanigans that are going on with with the monetary system, and kind of woke up, to what's really going on. And originally got into precious metals, gold and silver and everything. And because getting ready for this whole thing to collapse. Then it didn't, instead of, being upset or, like a lot of people, they want to occupy Wall Street. They want to, just complain about it. But when I found out about Bitcoin, it was actually, instead of just complaining or being upset about the situation in the world, there was something out there that, could make the old system obsolete. And I saw that in Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain technology. And I went all in back in 2012, and it was quite a journey. It was not, there's a lot of ups and downs. It was mostly downs, and I could talk to you about, but that's what really got me into it, was just history, science, and then the liberty movement.
For sure, man. Well, we got a lot of things to talk about here. I'm going to try to break it up. Let's start from history. What time, whether that's, like Roman history, Greek history, what's your favorite type of history?
Believe it or not, the things that really stood up in my mind were just, things that had to do with fake news. Like what happened when there was fake news that Napoleon had won the war and everything, and the markets had crashed, and it was a lie. And it was a lie so that people would panic and dump their stocks, and then some entity out there, who knows, some bank swooped it all up. And the same thing happened in our country, in the Great Depression. It was all really based on just false information, and then just the masses falling for it, and it's just wash, rinse, repeat. And I see this in the crypto space. So I think it was a lot of that. It was just, what's going to happen in the future if you just look back into the past. It all repeats itself. You could position yourself to not just, I guess you could say, not survive, but thrive during tough times.
Okay, so in regards to history, you've studied history and you're able to apply that to today, to 2018. And you're a bit of a hustler, it seems like. I think you've had a lot of gigs, a lot of entrepreneurial ventures, and we'll talk a little bit about the trials and tribulations with buying and securing Bitcoin, which is far from easy, even today, hence why you have the lounge. And what about science? Anything interesting from science that you applied to Bitcoin today?
Yeah, absolutely. When just growing up, there were so many things, so many ideas that different theories people wanted to have. Like, for example, the iPad. Steve Jobs envisioned something like that 20 years before it was even possible, but the technology wasn't there. read different articles, through either like white papers, through, certain little message boards about encryption or certain technologies that are theoretically possible, but the tools aren't there yet. As the tools become available, all these things that people dreamed of years ago are starting to come up. I mean, how many things that were on Star Trek, are now physically possible? So there's a lot of things that just growing up, either seeing through science fiction or just reading through articles or magazines that were just theories, that they're not theories anymore. And it just, opens your imagination that all this stuff is happening, and it's crazy.
That's really interesting. Like, think of Timothy May and his manifesto that he wrote, the Crypto Anarchist Manifesto in 1988. And like you said, the technology wasn't there. That's interesting. So just whether it's science or even science fiction has alluded to things that have come true in the future. Now, with fake news, I'm curious for someone listening here saying, okay, Ernesto, he studied fake news and he kind of understands this fear, uncertainty, and doubt, this FUD cycle. What are some fake news examples or themes you've seen with relation to Bitcoin?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the most obvious is just because I'm in the front line experiencing all the problems that people are having in regards to like acquiring and liquidating their crypto. So who are the ones posting all the bad news? All the major banks, like Jamie Dimon, lots of horrible articles from like B of A, mostly the banking institution, right? Saying all these horrible things, and they're tied up and have special interest on all these other networks also. So it's nothing but bad news from the financial sector, right? But if you look at the most blockchains patents that were acquired by anyone last year was B of A. Number one. If you Google B of A, 3-year-old loses bank account for high-risk individual, a dad was transferring $50 a month from Coinbase to his child's B of A account. She's high risk, done. 95% of my clients are all people who lost their bank accounts from B of A, Wells Fargo, Citibank, Chase. All your major banks, they're getting their bank accounts closed. I know that because they're my clients. And just to stick with the B of A theme, they're owned by Merrill Lynch. I mean, I'm in the Bitcoin world, in the OTC world, and you see letters of intent, you see financial institutions going in without giving too many details because I can't. But let's just say that the financial institutions are currently buying crypto. They're the ones crushing, saying all these horrible things, buying up the patents, and then behind everyone's back in the OTC market, they are currently buying the crypto.
For sure. You see Jamie Dimon or Goldman Sachs make a statement in the media, something along the lines of, I don't see a future for Bitcoin, or it's a huge bubble. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, they announced that they're launching a full service trading desk, for example. This is interesting. So, running this lounge, you're saying people are coming into CryptoSpace because they've had their bank accounts closed. Can I take a guess on how they were closed?
Sure, you can take a guess. Absolutely.
I feel that it has to do with something like localbitcoins.com or another website similar to that, and they're buying and selling, maybe not even large amounts, but the bank looks at their account saying, local Bitcoins transfer $300 worth of Bitcoin, and the banks are instantly just cutting off access to them.
Yeah, that would be part of it. Like people who are not registered with FinCEN and doing, deals out there. But actually the majority of the people are just people who are making sizable over $5,000 withdrawals or deposit to Coinbase or other known crypto exchanges. I have friends who are clients whose names I can't disclose who work for banks who have instructions to say that if they have any X amount of dollars coming from known crypto exchanges to their account, they just purge them. They just don't want to take the risk. They don't care if they're consumers or brokers. They just categorize everyone in one group, a crypto group, and you lose your account. And I know this by experience. Me and my partners, we've lost dozens of bank accounts. So we just became our own bank.
For sure. And Ernesto, right now, someone listening, let's say they have, $40,000 in Coinbase and they want to move it to their bank account. Could you make just smaller transfers under 5,000, multiple transfers? Or, what's the solution here?
I mean, you can. It's different for everyone. I mean, it really varies on if you have what kind of minimum balances you have, what kind of movement you've done, how much I've had times with banks where I've tried to open accounts, for example, right? They've flat out told me, yeah, you can do these things, but you have to have a minimum balance of $250,000. So you have to have a minimum balance of $1 million. It's kind of a pay-to-play situation. If you have enough money in there, they're okay. The last thing they want to see is wire in, wire out, because if they don't settle the end of the business day, what happens is that they don't get to fractional reserve lend. So if you have money come in and out, that doesn't benefit them. They want it to sit there for a day so that they can do what they do. You see? So it's just taking liquidity out of them. If we took 2% of our money out of the financial system, the whole thing collapses.
Let's say I have $50,000 in Coinbase. I'm not a millionaire. Maybe I'm even in debt. I only have a couple thousand in my Bank of America or Chase bank account, but I still want to keep a bank account because it's quite practical in the United States, even if I'm philosophically opposed to it. How do I get that money in there?
You can, but there's a high chance that at least this past year has been very, very difficult. Since I'd say November of last year to now, my client base has just been larger and larger and larger because of this happening. The chances are high, especially if you're doing enough movement. I couldn't say how high or what or where, but I could tell you that the number one most least friendly bank is B of A.
It's Bank of America. Okay. So CryptoSpace, could I open a bank account with you, Ernesto?
Absolutely. As soon as you KYC and everything looks good and I validate all your information, you can come in. And, and I follow all the federal and state laws in regards to, if you buy over a certain amount in cash, there's a cash transaction report, do everything compliantly. But we settle right here and there. There's no 5 to 10 day business wait for you to get your crypto. You come in and I sell you what I have on the shelf. And it's that easy.
So with CryptoSpace and listeners, it's CryptoSpaceUS.com. Could I have a bank account with CryptoSpace and store US dollars there as well?
No, we don't do custodial services for like dollars in crypto, at least not yet. So in the future, we're looking into doing something like that once we, do more compliance and build a software. Right now, it's just we close the loop right then and there as an exchange.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the good thing is that we actually have a super cool smart ATM in the building. Transactions over 10,000 I do personally at my desk. Transactions under 10,000 are done by the ATM. And it only charges 5%. So it'll do Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, Dash, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ravencoin, Tokecoin, many other coins on their way. And that's a lot of super cool features. Like the good thing about it is that it's a regular ATM and a crypto ATM, first time that ever happens. So you can put your debit card, credit card, pull out your cash, buy your crypto. And while you have your crypto, you can pay your utility bills, buy gift cards, cell phone minutes, and even do money remittances, all in the building with your crypto.
Very cool, man. And so really, I guess going back to that question, that it's really a hard answer to have a bank account like Bank of America, Chase, et cetera, and you want to move money you've made. They're targeting people right now. So the banks are in a currency war, right? You said that before recording. It's a currency war right now, and it's a bit worrisome.
No, it is. And then even if you, I'm not sure, at least I'm pretty sure for our listeners in the United States, if anyone has tried to pull out more than $5,000 in cash out of the bank account, it's a big deal. They pull you aside, they call for the manager. What do you need it for? Who is this for? Where is it going? And I'm like, it's my money. I do whatever I want with it. Well, you know what? They won't give it to you, or they might give it to you. If it's more than 5,000, you'll have to wait maybe 3 to 4 business days to get your money. They do not want to release it. Try to send a wire. They interrogate you. So even just pulling your cash out, just your cash over $5,000 is very difficult and takes days.
For sure. So it's kind of an illusion. It's not really, quote unquote, your money that you have at the bank, right? There's all these rules and stipulations to spend, withdraw, and move around your own money. So that's something that I guess a lot of people accept. Oh, that's just how banks work. But Ernesto, you and a lot of people in this movement are like, hey, it could be different. There could be more sovereignty for people. And there's a laundry list of horror stories of people who have their bank accounts closed, and not just for crypto, for completely unrelated things. They might be making international transfers for business, completely legal. All of a sudden their bank accounts shut down with no reason. It takes days to get their money, but it's quite abusive, I think. Ernesto, so what you're doing is really cool. I want to paint the picture for someone listening here, especially people outside the United States. What is San Pedro, California like?
It's really up and coming. It's kind of like what you would call the new Venice. SpaceX just got a place down here. About 750 engineers are going to be here. Boeing just bought property down here. And it's a very kind of like up and coming district, and technology is coming in here right now. As far as in California for beachfront property, it's the most economical place to have a beachfront property in California. And there's lots of opportunities, and tech is pouring in right now.
That's so cool. And so if I go to San Pedro, and hopefully I will, man. If I come to LA, I'm definitely coming through the crypto space. I know you have a lot of people that walk in that don't know anything about crypto. How does that conversation go?
Oh man, those are like my favorite conversations. I actually spend 90% of my day just talking to people and nerding out and telling them. Most of those conversations, the way they go, they come in, they're like, what's Bitcoin? And I'm like, I said, well, before I get into that, let me tell you what's going on in the world. And you're like, what do you mean? They're like, well, why is it here? Or they'll ask me, is Bitcoin really worth, $20,000, $7,000? And I tell them, no. You know what? No, it's not. You're absolutely right. It's not worth $20,000. But that condominium in a really poor area in the downtown LA is not worth $500,000, That gallon of gasoline is not worth $4. That combo meal you just got at Carl's Jr. is not $11. It's just that's how little your dollar's worth. And then they stop and they're like, whoa, what do you mean? And then I get into, the way the banks really work, how it's not really their money, how really, if they decided they wanted not to go to work tomorrow, how are they going to survive? They work because they have to, not because they want to. Most people are slaves to debt. And America is one of the least free countries in the world, and they don't realize that. And then when they grasp what's going on in the world, and then I'll explain kind of like what Bitcoin offers, what crypto offers, how it's different, but how it also is a little scary, and you have to take responsibility for your assets. You own them. You have to be responsible for them. You got to hold your wallets. You got to back up your wallets. You got to do all this stuff. So it comes with a lot of responsibility. And most people aren't ready for that. They just want someone to manage their account or, So that's what I do. I explain that to them, kind of wake them up a little bit and let them know there's an option. And then they come back and they come to our meetups and they come to our workshops and they'll ask us questions. And then when they finally are ready to go in and get some crypto, they get it. So then if the price dumps, say, like when people were buying crypto at 20,000 and it jumped to 6,000, they didn't sell. They understood. They understood that this is not just, like an evolution in technology, but a revolution in the monetary system, in the world, this whole decentralization. So instead of them dumping like most people would panic and dump at 6,000, they doubled down and bought more because they understood. So we're just trying to help people understand the why it's here.
That's amazing. And Ernesto, your enthusiasm is remarkable. And what listeners don't know is you've been the victim of many Bitcoin scams over the years. But it seems like, was your faith ever shaken in Bitcoin and crypto?
Oh, yeah. Multiple times. It was a very rough ride when I finally decided that when I understood and I got it and I said, I got to do this. I think Bitcoin was like $50 at the time. I cashed out my gold, my silver. I emptied my savings account. I got a loan. I did things you shouldn't have done, but I went all in. And, I got scammed on eBay, PayPal, Craigslist. Oh my God, left and right. But then I finally found a guy who would sell me some crypto, right? I would deposit money into his bank account and then it would show up on my wallet. And there was this one thing I did once, it was horrible. So I used to have a Droid phone and I upgraded to an Apple phone. And so when I downloaded the wallet on the new phone, I just assumed that the Bitcoins would be there attached to the phone number. I didn't know there was like seed phrases or anything, and I threw that phone away. And I had made a substantial purchase, and the guy's like, did you get them? I said, no. He's like, to the same address, right? I said, yeah, same address. And I'm like, oh, wait, I got a new phone. They're all gone. They're out in the abyss. I could see them on the blockchain, but I could never reach them again.
Oh, man. I feel your pain, man. But you've been through it all. So I do think in terms of educating people and getting them excited and into the movement, you can speak from experience about being careful on how you store it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of storage, and then the icing on the cake was obviously, unfortunately, like a lot of people back then, was Mt. Gox. When I finally got my Bitcoin and I was finally trading it, I had put it almost all of it in one spot, and we know how that story ended. So the one word of advice I can tell anyone out there, if you're listening, if you take anything out of this conversation, out of this podcast, out of this interview, if you don't own your private keys, you do not own your crypto. The least safe place you can have it is on an online exchange. We all know what happened with Mt. Gox. I also had crypto on an exchange called BTCE.com. They were seized by the Department of Homeland and Security. Those coins are gone. The government can decide that Coinbase is no longer legal. And what are you going to do?
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't have the keys, you don't own it. So just know that you're at high risk there.
For sure, man.
And that's what we do. We help people, get their portfolios out of the online exchanges, put them on a ledger, put them on paper wallets, hard wallets. Sometimes we'll be here for 8, 10, 12 hours a day securing people's assets and showing them how to use it and backing up their backups and pretty much just setting everything up, putting it on a silver platter and training them and sending them on their way.
That's amazing, man. And how many people on average come into the CryptoSpace lounge every day?
I would say it varies. I would say we get anywhere from like 10 to 30 people that come in, sometimes a lot more, 10 to 30 new people. Our regulars come in all the time. But we're in a corner location, about 2 blocks from the water. We have farmers markets right across the street, so they close the street, and we have farmers market people coming in all the time. We have live concerts right across the street. Princess Cruise Lines, docks right down the street, and thousands of people a few times a month just come by and they're like, what? CryptoSpace, what is this? Me and we have my partner Stacy, Stephanie, Ken, and Rowan. We'll just go out there and we're just educating people the whole time, and we're setting up wallets for them, and we're giving them password books and do this and don't do that, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun. We're doing what we love,
For sure. And you created this at the end of last year, which is kind of the crypto craze. And you mentioned this in your bio that you're presented with a choice: either buy Bitcoin at 20,000 or develop a business model. How did you pull the trigger? Was it something that you were like scared, or you just instantly had the idea, like a light bulb went off?
Actually, well, there was 2 things. Like you said, I had to develop a business model where, do I buy it at 20 or what do I do? Because it was unhealthy. I used to have a blockfolio of how much I would have had if I didn't get hacked, and every time the price, or if I didn't make all those mistakes.
Oh, man.
And that was not healthy. Every time the price would go up, I'd look at this blockfolio of what would have been, and it was not good, I was not a happy person, and crypto was supposed to make me happy, and it was supposed to change my life, and it didn't then. So at that point, 2017, the little bit we did have left was life-changing. And then I read there was this tweet I saw. I was working on the legal and the compliance part. I was figuring that all out. And when I finally figured it out, I saw this tweet. It was around Christmas time. I forgot who said it, but they said, hey, if you've been in crypto for longer than a year and you're still in debt, you haven't started a business, you haven't paid off your mortgage, or you haven't paid off your kids' college education, you're being irresponsible. And that tweet really hit home. I was like, oh my God, he's right. If I don't do something with this money to try to create a business or do something, I'm being irresponsible, So at that point, like 2 hours after I saw that tweet, I liquidated about 90% of everything. And that was when Bitcoin was on his way down at like 18.5. And it was just to fund my CryptoSpace.
Wow, that was a great decision, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it was dumb luck. I mean, I was just like, I got caught up with everyone. Even though I bought my crypto a while back ago, I was still like, is it going to turn to $1 million, 100,000? I was like starting to buy at 17,000. And I'm like, what am I doing? I can't get caught up like everyone else. And yeah, I just pulled the trigger. It was just instincts, I guess, or dumb luck, call it. But thank God that I did, because the last 6 months or 9 months have been pretty rough. And at least I was able to, go back in and replenish the supplies, and at least, have the money to do what we're doing to help push adoption. And that's what we do. Even my partner Stacy said, oh wow, let's move to Mexico, let's build an Earthship in Colombia, let's retire, let's move to Texas, and I'm like, hey, I mean, we can help a lot of people, you know what I mean? And so we stuck around, and because really, besides developing a business model, I really, really, really didn't want the same thing to happen to me to happen to other people, because it was rough. It was a really rough ride. I gave up multiple times, and it was really painful, And then I'm sure a lot of people out there could have the same stories, probably worse than mine. But I just stuck with it,
Dude, amazing story.
How do you prefer your crypto news? If it's through your headphones, then you'll love this podcast. This Week in Bitcoin is an easy-to-digest news summary published every Friday with a length of 15 minutes or less. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Bitcoin.com podcast network.
So I like this concept of a cryptocurrency lounge, this place where people can hang out, talk crypto, buy and sell, workshops, et cetera, because this is not easy, understatement, in terms of just understanding what it is and, storing, spending, and receiving it safely. And so I feel like it's kind of an important part of the infrastructure. I mean, if someone listening today in their city wants to start we'll call it a crypto lounge, what would you tell them? What advice would you have for them?
I guess I would say that get registered, get registered with FinCEN. Get you at least do that first, because that's a little bit of a process, I would say you could email me directly, and I'd be happy to share some of my systems, some of my legal, what I've learned in regards to navigating the compliance minefield. I would love it if there was 1,000 crypto spaces or crypto lounges, hundreds of them, thousands of them, all over the country, all over the world. And if you email me directly at Ernesto.Huerta@CryptoSpaceUS.com, I will share with you everything that I have so that you can get started on your own.
For sure. And listeners, I'll link to Ernesto's email as well as his website, just in case you weren't able to spell that or didn't get that. So I encourage you to reach out to him. And Ernesto, maybe you have another business model, like a franchising model for CryptoSpace or a guide.
Yeah, actually the CryptoSpace San Pedro Lounge was a proof of concept. This is, we purposely decided to start in a small place, developing our systems. We're currently building our software. We're building the systems, the software, the compliance, and we're packaging it all so that we can actually take this and put it at different locations and possibly franchise. So that's actually in the roadmap.
Oh, nice, man. A couple steps ahead of me. That's amazing. Well, Ernesto, I'll link to everything online, and listeners, Ernesto, also have you send me some photos. I just want people to see it and feel it. This is an audio podcast, but at podcast.bitcoin.com, go to Humans Bitcoin. We'll link to photos of the crypto space so you can see it. Ernesto, this is perfect, man. I love what you're doing. You should be very proud. Like you said, I know you could have maybe retired to Baja California or somewhere in Mexico. Not that wouldn't be cool, but what you're doing in the community, we need people to use Bitcoin Cash and other cryptocurrencies. To me, it's not about Wall Street getting in and moving the price around. If people don't use it, it's not going to last. Just personally, I think you're doing some great work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, I couldn't have done it without my partner Stacy and Stephanie and everyone that's been helping us along the way. We've been very fortunate. And as long as we're all on the same page and know that you're not alone out there, guys. It is super scary. Feel free to reach out to me, even if you're in another country. You can give me a call or send me an email. I would be happy to help you.
That's cool. Actually, one final question, man. I know there's like India and Mexico. They're two countries that get a lot of remittance payments, right? Back to their home country. And I know there's a lot of Mexicans in LA. Do you ever get people that come in and say, hey, I want to send money back to my family in Mexico?
Absolutely, we do. And starting 2 weeks, when our smart ATM is out of beta, they're going to be able to do money remittances right here with their crypto into the machine all over the world.
That is amazing.
It's super exciting. We have 12 machines rolling out all over the Los Angeles area within the next 30 days.
Hey, man, I'm inspired, man. And I think that, that tweet, I won't say change your life because you've had a lot of life-changing moments, but that tweet that kind of helped you manifest and make CryptoSpace a reality, I kind of like that. It's like you're part of this big movement. Not only should you have your kids' financial future, but there's so many opportunities. And if you've been in crypto for over a year, you have some type of skill. There's something that you can do, a business that you can create. I mean, look at me, man. I'm podcasting for a living, paid in Bitcoin, right? There's just something that anyone can do. We all have skills. And I think this is a great example of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just feel so blessed that we're both of us and a lot of people that I know now are actually doing what they love for a living. It's not a job. Like, I don't even know what day of the week it is most of the time, and that's an awesome feeling. And if we can help people with their projects, with their dreams, or whatever it is that they want to do in the crypto space, we're here to help, to collaborate, to support. And my space is available to them. If you're launching a project that's about adoption and then you're doing positive things in the crypto community, our space is available to you. You can have your events here and we won't charge you anything.
For sure. And this is what's needed, the infrastructure, kind of building it. Bitcoin is a bottom-up movement, right? And what Ernesto is doing is important. We need tens and thousands of you, man. So thanks a lot, man. And come back on the show anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Bitcoin.com podcast network. To learn more about our shows, visit Bitcoin.com/podcast. Bitcoin.com podcast network.